Hello, my name is Julie Magavero, and this presentation is going to be on the artist Elizabeth DeAngelo. Who is Elizabeth DeAngelo? Artist, spreader of love and hope, illness warrior, force of nature, often paints with her arms pinned to her sides due to severe weakness and muscle spasms from advanced ME/CFS. In the midst of an illness that keeps her confined to a 12 by 12 foot bedroom, she makes vibrant work that has captivated a loyal following. And that is from her website, elizabethdeangelo.com. And the reason I chose this quote to introduce her is because I think that it's really important to respect the way that artists want to be seen. When you become an artist and your artwork starts getting out there, you want your, you want your presence to, you want to come off a certain way. You want people to know you, how you want to be seen. So in respect to her own identity, I decided to use something that she put on her own website, which was this. And first and foremost, one of the first things she does to introduce herself is talk about the fact that she's this illness warrior. We're already implying that there's something going on and how her, this is going to probably most likely play a role into her artwork. And then, going on to say she often paints with her arms pinned to her sides due to severe weakness and muscle spasms. So we're already understanding that there's an obstacle behind all of these artworks that we see. And this is a picture of her to the right. Understanding the disability. So, as mentioned in the last slide, she has a condition called ME/CFS, which is an abbreviation. It is more commonly known as chronic fatigue syndrome. This is considered like an invisible disability because people with this condition do not always outwardly appear ill. So, for example, in contrast to someone who may be in a wheelchair, something a little bit more obvious, something that's more visible, people notice right away. People with a disability that's more invisible might experience that same level of oppression, or possibly sometimes even more so, given that it's not immediately noticeable. And it's a really debilitating condition that she has. So in her website, she mentions some of her most prominent symptoms, which is that no amount of rest improves her fatigue, intense pain all over the body, unable to perform usual motor movements or day-to-day tasks. This can be something as easy as just getting up and going and taking a shower or making food for yourself. She's overcoming these things, just existing day-to-day. Dizziness, confusion, general feelings of malaise. And this condition often appears between the ages of 40 to 60, but it can affect anyone at any time. It just tends to get worse with age or appear later in life. And unfortunately, there are not many known treatments. And this is all according to the CDC. So creating art with a disability. Elizabeth is open about the struggles she faces as a disabled artist, as well as how her disability is reflected in her artwork. She is an art educator as well and uses her teaching platforms to bring awareness about invisible illnesses, how to rise above them, using art as a method for healing and meditation. That's something she talks about a lot, is that her artwork is kind of her escape, her connection to the outside world. I mean, she's confined to this room all day. So art has, is, as we all know, as artists, becomes an escape in a lot of different ways. That's extremely understandable. Her disability has, in some ways, led to an artistic awakening for her. Her art has become more vibrant, free, and less structured. What I mean by that is she talks about this a lot in her work, which is that, before this condition really took a toll on her life, art was very formal, very structured, and having this condition and being limited made her realize that these confines and these quote boxes that we try to fit art into are arbitrary, and art should be expressive and representative of yourself and of the artist, and she definitely accomplishes that. And transitioning from that thought, this is the first artwork I wanted to introduce by her. I think this is extremely reflective of her identity, and it also has this nice quote and this nice poem that she wrote along with it, which reads, "This is me healed, this is me free. This is my body, unchained and unseamed. Yet that is the only part that you see. That's nothing more than one miracle piece. The battle it rages, it screams and it fights, to get my mind thinking, this is it, lies. I am powerful, mighty, a warrior fierce. I am strong, I am whole, I can cast out all fears. Darkness cannot overtake my bright soul, white as the stars, I will sparkle and glow, atmosphere ebbs, watch me dance, twirl, and flow." And the reason I wanted to use this one to introduce her is because as we're talking about her feeling confined, not just by her disability, but physically in a space. As we see in the foreground here, these four dancers are very symbolic of her wanting to move, just like in the poem. Like, despite having this disability, she feels powerful. She wants to dance. She wants to, move around, and she's really battling. Like, she's not just succumbing to these issues. She's rising above it, and she's representing that in this artwork. And there's also a lot of really nice color going on, and just a lot of different elements that are kind of symbolic of, nature, the outside world, things she wants to be a part of, like the hands reaching up, And that moves nicely into this next one. She makes all of her artwork is really meaningful, and there's a lot of parallels between the content of her art and her disability. There's no cure for her condition, but she continues to thrive as an artist despite the complications. And a lot of her artwork has this really spiritual component, which I find interesting, like just on a personal level, but also I think it's really cool how she incorporates these different elements of like the higher self. And this one is called Manifesting Health. And she's trying to, really get in touch with like, healing herself from the inside, like not letting her disability like keep her from being able to make this beautiful artwork, and like constantly like reaching for the thing she like, not still accomplishing everything she wants to and trying to manifest that. And she does that through her art making. Same thing in this one, which is titled She Thought She Was Small and Trapped, But She Was Not. This one is really good for showing the ways that she incorporates symbolism into her artwork. So, of course, we see there's two figures here, and, along with the title, she thought she was small and trapped, and we see the smaller figure looking, maybe not so happy, maybe looking trapped in the middle of this big, bright painting, and then this bigger figure with this, like, eagerness in her eyes, and I feel that this is representative of her. Of course, that's just my interpretation, but given the title and everything. And then we see these birds in the front, something that may be like this bird cage in the middle, that might be some kind of parallel to her confinement, and the birds could be representative of that outside world that she's so craving to be a part of. And then the last one is called Heart Summoning, and I find this like almost like a dual narrative. We see these wolves, and I think that goes along with the title, Heart Summoning, just calling out for, for freedom, to be out and part of that outside world. And then in the background, we see the houses, which I think may be representative of her being trapped inside and being in her home and not being able to always be outside, but her heart is always calling for that. But what she shows through her artwork is that she is able to still make those connections with the outside world, rise above her condition, and bring awareness to, others who may know others with disabilities or who may have a disability themselves. And she really inspires to create artwork and not let those physical restraints keep her from making meaningful artwork.